Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome. And we'll sing our Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Anjaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Stoter to Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Stoter to Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Nanda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Gopanim Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Badrinarayan Swami Ki Jai. Whoa. Can someone pick that up? Hare Krishna. Okay.
Close the door. I think it's a bit.
Yeah, we don't need that. Thank you. So on this first day of March 2026 in San Diego, Korpanima Eve, I'd like to say just a few words about my old friend, His Holiness Badrinarayan Swami. Before we begin, we'll be exploring a little bit the first verse of the Shikshashtaka by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a kind of leading up to Lord Chaitanya's appearance day tomorrow. You're all invited, of course, for the festival beginning at 5:30 p.m., just as we begin the festival here. And if you're really into it, you fast all day. We break fast at moonrise. So it's not mandatory, but please show up anyway. So, of course, we're going to have a memorial for Maharaj, probably not this week from today, but a couple of weeks, because a lot of people all over the world want to participate through Zoom and everything. But we'll let you know through the, if you get the newsletter. I hope you all get the newsletter. Then we'll have a special announcement of that coming up. So just one quick appreciation. I've known Badrinarayan Swami since I arrived here in 1989. So that's almost 37 years. I came in July of '89. And he was a householder then, of course. But the temple was full. On Mangal Artik, we had standing room only, practically. I can remember that. And we had four resident sannyasis, like 3 resident sannyasis, plus Gunagari Swami, who would always come and he was traveling and preaching. This is his home base. So Mukunda Maharaj lived here, Umapati Swami lived here, and when Jayawada Swami came with us from BTG relocated, we had 3. And so it was a happening temple. Those who remember, I think, who were here, it's still a happening temple. But Maharaj was then the president. He'd been the president for quite a few years. I think this temple opened in '78, and he was the temple president soon after that. Then he became a GBC in 1987, increased his responsibilities. And he was always, very strict in his sadhana and very caring about all the devotees. And I'm going to tell the story in more detail when we have the memorial. But when I came here, there was a whole bunch of us that arrived. There was the BTG department arrived, Nagaraj and his wife, Pranada, and Jayawada Swami, he was with them, Archita. So, and then in 1992, practically they all left. They departed. It was too expensive to live around here, as probably everyone knows. On the beach, rents kept going up. So I had to decide, well, what should I do? Should I go with them to Alachua or whatever? And I decided there's no point in that because I have my base up in LA. We didn't have so much computers at that time. So I had a period to go up there, so I stayed. But later on, in 1994, I won't go into all the details, but I almost relocated to Sweden, believe it or not, to work with the North European BBT, Harikesh Swami and all of that, And I was, it's a long story, but Bhadranath Swami didn't want me to go, and so he prevailed on one wonderful devotee named Gangeya. Those who are old-timers remember Gangeya. Very nice devotee. And anyway, he ended up being my roommate for 10 years and helping to pay the rent, half of the rent. So he kept me here in San Diego, and I really cannot thank him enough for that. It would have been a disaster for me to go there finally. So he was always, defending ISKCON, all of these troubles that were happening in the 80s and 90s, there was always something happening, And he was right in the middle of it, very courageous actually in many ways. And very caring for all the devotees. A wonderful person to have the association and be under management of. So we'll speak on them. Many devotees have wonderful anecdotes about his wonderful career. He joined in '69, so you counted, it's 57 years. Almost 57 years. He was a staunch devotee, and book distributor, father, two wonderful children, Neela Madhava and Anusuya. So it was really shocking, we didn't expect that. It was on last Thursday we heard in class that he had passed but he passed in Vrindavan. Krishna arranged for him to be there, which was very, auspicious, obviously. So, I wanted to just focus on this first verse of the Shikshastika. Lord Chaitanya, of course, I'm sure you all know, he's Krishna in the role of his own devotee. It's Krishna appearing to teach us how to practice Krishna consciousness in this age of Kali. Because in previous ages, when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, there was a possibility of doing Ashtanga yoga, although Arjuna rejected it. This is formal yoga, sitting and breathing. If you go to yoga studios, you'll be able to learn some of that, which I did. But really, to achieve the final goal of yoga, first of all, to know what it is, and then to achieve it, is practically impossible in this age for us to do that Ashtanga type yoga, the meditative yoga. It's just, what does Krishna say in the Gita in the 6th chapter? Go to a secluded place, a holy place, and sit there, and practice pranayama and fix the eyes between the eyebrows. I never could do that for more than 4 seconds. I felt I'm going, and then think of me within the heart, breathing. Who can actually do that? How can you fit that into your schedule? Everyone has to, pay the rent and all these other things, So Arjuna rejected it. He couldn't do it. He said, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati barabadradham tasaham nagaham manye vayo ivata duskaram. He said, my dear Krishna, we heard, this is near the end of the chapter, he said, I cannot practice this. The mind is too difficult to control. It's like trying to control the wind, like a hurricane, I lived for 6 years in Miami, And while I was there, we never had a hurricane hit directly, but at a certain time of the year, we kept it very careful, you know. The first thing we never got up was into the weather report, you know, is it coming? And I know hurricane winds are very powerful, so he said, no, the mind is just like that. It's very difficult. I can't control it, you know. So Krishna encourages us, yes, you can, you know, with practice. And but what if I fail? You know, what'll happen? Oh, well, then you get born in a very nice family of yogis or you know, pious, wealthy family. So there's no loss. But Arjuna was, you know, he said, nah, I can't do it. So then what does Krishna say? Yoginam api sarvesham vadgatenan taratmana shraddhabam bhajate yamam same yuktatamomata. Last verse of the chapter, leading into the 7th verse, which Prabhupada said the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are the essence, you know. So he says, that yogi who was always thinking of me within his heart with great transcendental love and faith and was worshiping me, he's the best of all. Arjuna's doing that already. He's always thinking of Krishna, he's his best friend, you know, like that. So that was encouraging. So I'm going to read. So this is. I'm going to read a little bit of this purport. Prabhupada quotes the first part of the Shikshastika verse that I'm going to deal with in this 4th canto, chapter 13, text 8 to 9, and he begins to describe it. I'm just going to read some of what he writes here, and then we'll expand a little bit. So first he quotes Cheto Darpanam Arjunam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kaidvachandakavataranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratibadam Purnamitasvadanam Sarvatmasnapadam Padam Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Now I know for most of you that probably the meaning didn't come out from that because you don't know the Sanskrit. So I put it into a little poem. All glories to the chanting of Shri Krishna's holy names, which easily extinguishes samsara's blazing flames by polishing the lust-encrusted mirror of the heart. That chanting is the waxing moon that knows the secret art of causing the white lotus of good fortune to unfurl its petals far and wide throughout this bleak and blighted world. Of transcendental knowledge, which will take us to life's goal, the chanting of the name of Krishna is the life and soul. The ocean of ecstatic bliss floods far beyond its bounds, wherever Krishna's merciful and mystic name resounds. Indeed, whenever Krishna's names are sung in congregation, at every step one tastes a joy that knows no limitation. So hear with great attention as I earnestly request, please chant Shri Krishna's holy names and be supremely blessed. The soothing nectar of the name will bathe your consciousness, bestow pure love for Krishna, and eradicate distress. Now, I have to admit, I kind of extrapolate a little bit, you know, you won't find everything there. But that's the basic idea for this verse. So, Prabhupada explains here in the purport, by chanting the holy name, one can attain the perfection of nirvana, or liberation from material existence, and so increase one's blissful life of spiritual existence as described by Lord Chaitanya, Anandam Buddhivardhana, and that means expanding the ocean of bliss in one's heart. When one is situated in that position, he no longer has any interest in material opulence or even a royal throne and sovereignty over the whole planet. This situation is called Virakta Anyatra Sat, means detached from everything else but Krishna. The more one makes advancement in devotional service, the more one becomes detached from material opulence and material activity. This is the spiritual nature, full of bliss. This is also described in Bhagavad Gita 2:59, Param Drishtra Navartate. Now this is the verse. I remember when I first read this verse, and it really struck me because I was just a new brahmachari in New York City, in Brooklyn Temple, 1973. But you know, I was practicing full time, and I was feeling the benefits of Krishna consciousness. And what this verse says, many of you may be familiar, Vishayava nivartante niraharasya dehinak rasavarjam rasobhyasya param drishtra navartate. Vishaya means the object of the senses, the sense gratification. Now, those who are familiar with the basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness know that the philosophy is that by becoming attached and involved with trying to enjoy sense gratification, gross or subtle in this world, we tie knots in our heart, meaning that we've experienced something pleasurable, we want to do it again. We want to do it again. And those that stay within us. And when we finally leave this body, when the body breaks down, all of those unfulfilled desires are part of our subtle body. And it's described nicely in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita near the beginning, how the process of transmigration of the soul works. And we have basically two bodies. We have the gross body, we call the body, everyone knows what that is, but also the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego. And when this gross body eventually falls, as it will for each of us, the subtle body goes on. And the activities we performed, whether material or spiritual, will determine our next body. That is the template for the body that we will receive. And so it's very important to understand the culture of our consciousness. That will determine our future, our destiny. So that's the whole main idea. And we're going to explain that in more detail later. So this Padam Drishta Nivartate, it says, Vishayava Nivartante. One can give up by force the objects of the senses, you know. Like, anyway, this is a long story, but there's a couple of main churches up here on Cass Avenue, those who are familiar with the area. There's a big St. Bridget's church, and then there's a smaller Lutheran church right next to it, but they're both pretty. And one of them, I forget which one, I learned, not because I was drinking and I needed to, but there's a what is it, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I won't go into the story how I got to give a speech there, but you know, generally people stand up and they said, my name is Tom Smith, and I've been clean, you know, I've been dry for 6 months, and they get a little badge. It means that he hasn't drunk anything. So you know, I didn't say, my name is Dravida Dasa, and I've been dry for 45 years, you know, because that's one of the regular principles, you know. But there's some similarities there. How they're trying to get spiritual strength or some kind of strength by getting together and calling upon a higher power, completely non-sectarian, you know, but whatever God you worship, you know, to give you the strength to give up your addiction to this because it's killing you. So anyway, this verse is about that. One can give up the vishaya, the object of the senses, whatever it is you're attached to, addicted to. But unfortunately, materially, the desire is still there. In other words, you may forcibly restrain yourself, but the desire for it is still there. And that's dangerous. It means anybody, you know, any alcoholic who's trying to stay clean knows that it's dangerous for him to just walk beside, you know, next to the bar that he used to go to. Oh, there's my old friends. I'll just go in there. I'm cool, you know. And you sit down, before you know it, oh, just one drink won't hurt you. So you fall off the wagon, they say. So that's what this verse is about. The desire still remains. But Param Drishta, Param here stands for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Seeing or experiencing directly, then one remains fixed in consciousness. Even the desire goes. This is the thing. It's not that you're clenching your fist, you know, and okay, I still have desire, but I'm going to not do it because I know it's harmful. No, because that eventually you fall away. But here is saying that if you become fixed in Krishna consciousness, you can really give up these things. And we know we have these 4 regulative principles: no meeting, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication. So these are very prominent all over, you know, all around us. So it's not easy to give those up. But if you become serious about chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna gives you the higher taste. He's there in the heart, you know. And there's such a wonderful taste. We had this nice little Harinam, you know, before. And they usually get me lead. I say, oh God, I gave the lecture in my voice, you know. But I led. And it was very blissful. People were appreciating. You know, they were waving and everything. We were giving out little pamphlets and chanting in the street. And that's the essence of Lord Chaitanya's movement, is this Harinam Sankirtan. That's what this is all about. So the chanting together with musical instruments and dancing, and the personal chanting, the japa, also is very important. Lord Chaitanya himself did that. Hare Krishna. Next week, put it on silent before you come. Hare Krishna. Okay, a little distraction. So anyway, this is the whole point of this. The first verse it gives you various steps. So Param Drishta Nivartate. If you see, directly experience the Supreme Krishna through His holy name, especially, then you Nivartate. You don't return. You don't, because the desire is gone. That's the whole thing. Vairagya is in Vairagya and Vidya, 2 essential foundations of the practice of bhakti. Vairagya means the loss of the desire. It's more than just renunciation. Because renunciation means, okay, I'm giving it up, but I'm still thinking about it. But vairagya means, are you kidding? And when I think about it, as Yamunacharya said, I spit at the thought. It's exactly distasteful. It's not like you have some desire that you have to control. So that's the great power of bhakti yoga, is that by Krishna's mercy, he cleans the heart so that you give up the very desire for those things that used to bind you to this material world. By advancement in spiritual knowledge, which is like a blazing fire, all material desires are burned to ashes. The perfection of mystic yoga is possible when one is continuously in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by discharging devotional service. A devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Lord at every step of his life. Every conditioned soul is full of the reactions of his past life, but all dirty things are immediately burned to ashes if one simply executes devotional service. This is described in Narada Pancharat, and it goes on like that. So let me go through step by step with this Chaito Darpana Marjanam verse, which is kind of the foundation of this whole movement and Lord Chaitanya's preaching. Haribol, welcome. So the first is Chaito Darpana Marjanam. So he compares the mind to like a mirror, you see, and it's full of dust. You know, and when I hear the dust, okay, the dust of lust. So that was kind of, you know, and then the lust-encrusted mirror, so kind of expanded on it. But this powerful chanting polishes that mirror. Now, what it means now is we can't see who we really are. We don't understand who we are. This is the first question that Sanatana Goswami asked Lord Chaitanya when he met him and he surrendered. He was already, you know, established Brahmin, trained and everything, but he had become deviated by becoming the prime minister of the Nawab Hussain Shah in the government, and his brother Rupa was the finance minister. So they were the right and left hand, you see. But when Lord Chaitanya visited them, they immediately recognized that, oh, this is the Supreme Personality of God, this is Krishna himself. And Rupa Goswami, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate, he said, oh, this is Krishna himself, giving the most valuable thing that could possibly be, pure love for Krishna, prema. He's giving it out. He's giving, oh, you just chant. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, no time, no hard and fast rules for chanting. You just chant, you know, and then you come, you know, into the association and learn the science of bhakti, and you'll become completely pure and get the most valuable thing. So who could be more munificent than that? Now, Prabhupada would also say magnanimous. Now, it's interesting because magnanimous actually means forgiving, most forgiving. That's the effort of magnanimous. Lord Chaitanya was also that. What could be a better example than Jagai Madai? Those who know the story of Jagai and Madai? He forgave them, right? Because Nityananda forgave them. And he forgave them and welcomed them in, gave them pure love for Krishna. They were criminals. They were the lowest of the low. They had been born in Brahmin families. So Lord Chaitanya, he's ready to forgive all of our failings and everything, and give us so he's most munificent, the pure love for Krishna, if we simply take to this chanting. So let's go through step by step. So who are we? We are pure spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna. This was my original idea for this this talk, is that these two what do we call them, mottos, or you probably know both of them, YOLO and FOMO. Does everyone not know what they mean? He's laughing. YOLO is maybe even more famous, right? You only live once, right? And if you really believe that, then the logical step is, oh, FOMO. I don't want to miss out, fear of missing out, so let me grab as much, sense gratification as I can. So that first statement is false. You don't only live once, you live again and again and again. That's the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita. And if you believe it, it should change your whole idea of what life is about and what you should strive for. Not just what in this one little life, how can I make this successful? You can't make it successful because no matter what you do, you're going to die. So whatever you get materially in this life is going to be left behind. But you're not going to die. It's not that you only live once. You live again and again and again. So I made another little poem. Now, for this, you have to really see it. I have to explain it first. As you may not know that the word everybody is not pronounced everybody. It's pronounced everybody, right? Isn't it? Everybody. Look it up in the dictionary. So well, I'm going to give you this poem. You have to, every space, body. I mean, each of us has a body, and we say every body in the room. So that's how, every body dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. That's the whole movement in a nutshell. But so you have to start with that first, axiom, that you're not the body, you're pure spirit soul. Right? This is the verse first. A lot of brahmacharis, we used to learn verses all the time. The first one you learn. This is Krishna's wonderful little way of explaining transmigration of the soul. He said, forget about your next birth, your last birth. Just think about this birth. You've been transmigrating from childhood to whatever age you are now. So he says, Dehi nosmin yata dehe, kaumaram yovanang jara, tata dehantara prabdir, dhiras tatra namuyati. So dehina is the dweller within the body, the soul. Dehi nosmin, in this body, dehe, kaumaram yovanang. Now kaumara means a little boy, but it can be kaumari also. Little girl, whatever you were. So from there, now you've changed. You're an older girl or an older boy, or older, So you change, you go older, and the body keeps changing, but you're the same person. And then you grow into an adult, right? And you're the same person. You have the same name, Now they might ask you for your identification. Yes, this is my birth certificate. And it goes on and on and on. So you go, and then finally you're middle age, and old age. I'm the same person. But look at his body. It's a completely different body. So therefore, you're not the body. You're the same person, but you're not the body. And then Krishna reveals, this we can't tell, but I don't know, that similarly, the soul gets a new body when the body dies. Again, you get, now, what kind of body? That depends on what your activities in this lifetime. It may be a human body, it may not be a human body, depending how you act. This is one of those who, I give Bhagavad Gita class 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if you're interested, 7:15. And those who've been attending the class, Marcy, is Marcy here? She can tell you. She's been how many years? 15, 20 years? 12 years? Only 12? Okay. That's more than anyone else. But you can, you remember I often chant this, Labdvasu durlabhamidam bahusambhavante. I don't know if you recognize the Sanskrit. But it's a very important verse that I think Krishna speaks in the 11th canto. It's from the 11th canto for sure. And he's saying, such a key verse, if you just meditate it. He's saying, Labdvasu durlabhamidam bahusambhavante. After many, many births, you have achieved this rare form, human form. You see? It's sudurlabham. It's difficult to attain. There's so many different forms. Just look at, you go to any lawn, every one of those blades of grass is there's a soul in there. 1 million souls. They're all living through that life as grass till someone, mows them, and then on they go to the next life, what it is. So it's rare. Human form of life is rare. But within all the human forms, especially in this Kali Yuga, it's very rare for people to even ask the question, what is my ultimate goal in life? Is there life after death? All these different things. So Prabhupada, as a perfect representative of Lord Chaitanya, the Sampradaya, the Disciplic Succession, he took the mission that Lord Chaitanya gave. He predicted that my name will be chanted in every, village and town, and he took the mission from his spiritual master. You go and preach foreign countries in English. He saw how good Prabhupada was with English. He was trained, a good English writer. He liked that. And he wanted him to, if you ever get money, famously he said, print books, you see. So Prabhupada was given the mission, go abroad and spread this movement in English as far as you can. And Prabhupada tried to do that first in India, and he had some success for a while, but then he had setbacks and this and that. And then a friend told him he was printing this magazine, Back to Godhead magazine. But it was just like a couple of pages of newsprint at first, cheaply, but he was taking it out, distributing it himself, And then a friend said, it's very nice you're printing this, but they're very fragile and they can be easily thrown away. But hardbound books, they'll become permanent. People will keep them on their shelf. So Prabhupada undertook the impossible task of translating and printing and publishing the Srimad Bhagavatam in 60 volumes. He thought it would be 60 volumes. And just to get those first 3 volumes printed, it took him 4 years. You know, you can read in the wonderful book, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, by Satsu Maharaj, how difficult it was to raise the money, and he typing it all out with 2 fingers on this manual typewriter, you know, and then giving it to the printer, and he's typing it into this, you know, rudimentary typesetting machine. And so finally he had those books in hand in 1965, and he felt, now I have the ammunition, now I can go to America. But he had no money to get there. So he was able, he was a very favorable Vaishnavi, Sumati Maraji, who was running a shipping company out of Bombay. So he appealed to her, please let me have free passage to America. I want to go. And Prabhupada, by that time, he was 69, I think 68. Yeah. Anyway, he was in his late 60s, and she said, oh, you're too old, Swami, you'll die there. I'm not going to give you anything. So he did a little sit-in. There's a picture showing Prabhupada chanting, you know, on her front door from her office, you know, and he it was explained how her aide came in. You know, he's still sitting there. He said, okay, invite him in. He said, you have to give me the passage. So she finally agreed. You know, Krishna inspired her. So he gets on the boat. He's 68 actually. He's 68. He turned 69 on the boat. Because Janmashtami came, you know. He's on the boat, very rough passage, had 2 heart attacks, and, you know, he said to Krishna, if I have a 3rd one, I'm going to go, you know, like that. So Krishna appears in a dream, and he says, don't worry, I'm going to take charge of the ship. You'll be all right. So then by that time, they were getting into the Atlantic Ocean, the main part of the passage, you know. And the weather was very calm. It was like a lake. In fact, when he landed in Boston, before they went down to New York, the captain of the ship, he had his wife with him, and she was kind of joking, said, oh, Swamiji, can you come back with us? That was the smoothest crossing we ever had, you know, maybe. So just to get on that boat, you know, and anyway, it's an amazing story. The courage he had, the determination, the setbacks, and, you know, all the things. So now those of us who appreciate Prabhupada, read his books and try to follow, we can be inspired by that determination that he showed. You know, he felt Krishna's presence and Lord Chaitanya's presence, the spiritual master, everything inspiring him. He wrote that wonderful poem, Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma. You know, he wrote it in Bengali, it's been translated, where it's appealing to Krishna, oh, I'm completely unqualified. If you want to, please make my power of speaking such that they'll learn, you know, like that. And he succeeded, you know, by miracle. So we're part of that, and it's all based, you know, on the Shastra, on the teachings from the Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya's teachings. For instance, this is another seminal verse. Jivara Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. This is the answer to the question to Sanatan, who am I? Who am I and why am I suffering? We should all ask that question. Not just why can't I pay the rent and all these things, but why do I have to die? Why do I have to get sick, you know, and suffer these threefold miseries, you know, the climate change, you know. So here's the answer to who am I, you know, very important. What are we? Who am I? Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tatastha Shakti Beda Abed Prakash. Now there's a second part of the verse that kind of illustrates this, but this is the central part. So the answer is that Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, you know, he's Krishna himself. He's taken the role of the Supreme Guru, really, you know, not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's saying, Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas, the Swarup, the actual ultimate nature of every jiva, every one of us in this room and every living everything out of there, even though they don't know it, is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. And second line, very important, Krishnera Tatastha Shakti. Krishna has all these different Shaktis, energies, as you probably know. He has internal energy, headed by Srimati Radharani, Ladini Shakti, right? Samvit Sandini, that which, anyways, it gets complicated, but there's all these spiritual energies in the spiritual world, and in the material energies in the material world. This matter, you know, this hard thing, boomer, apo, analo, vayo, 7th chapter, earth, water, fire, air, ethers, progressively subtle, mind, intelligence, ego, they're also material. But this is the building block of our bodies and everything else, is building everything. Those are Krishna's energies too. But they're apara, they're not transcendental. Besides those, the para shakti, there's living entities, we're part of the spiritual energy. But we're in that category of marginal, meaning that we have the tendency or ability to be bewildered by the material energy and to try to dominate, try to be enjoyers and masters, just as Krishna is. That's why we're here. And that's why we're in this material world and suffering, you know. But if we have the knowledge, if we accept the knowledge, and Lord Chaitanya's instructions and Lord Krishna's instructions, the same person, then there's a method of getting out of it. And the wonderful thing is that it's not like, you know, trying to become a expert violinist and finally realizing I'm not going to make it. You know, I've been 10 years on this thing, and everyone shuts their ears when I play, so I get the idea I'm not going to be able to make it, you know. No. It's that, and even if you do become the best violinist in the world, you die and you lose that position, and the next life, who knows what else you did, you know, you may not even be a human being. So, but anything you do in Krishna consciousness is in your eternal bank account. That's right in the Bhagavad Gita. One of my other favorite verses I quote in the Bhagavad Gita, Neha bhikkamanashosti pratyavayam vidyate svopamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Very encouraging verse, you know. Nice is in the 2nd chapter we're reading. So Neha bhikrama, meaning in this engagement, in this endeavor of Krishna consciousness, there is no loss and there's no diminution. Now where do you find that in the material world? You know, you may become a big billionaire or anything, but you know that you can be a loss and there can be a diminution. You have the $1 billion, but it's not worth what it was yesterday due to inflation. That's a diminution. And when you die, everything you lose. Mrityu sarvaharaschaham, Krishna says, I take everything away as death. So what did you gain by all that? Nothing. All you did was prolong your suffering in the material world. But this verse says, even if you just do a little bit of Krishna consciousness, this is an encouragement, you know, to get people to chant Hare Krishna, you know, do Hari Nam, or do a little service, or just take a book or something, because that's their eternal credit. You know, even if they hear the holy name once, and this is very encouraging, even if they don't want to chant, but if you go out and you do a Hari Nam, so many people are hearing, you know. There may be those really foolish demonic people who put the ears in here like this. I don't know, we used to have those people all the time. But we went out, people were saying hi, you know, little kids were dancing. It was beautiful. And that's to their eternal credit, you know. So even a little protects you from Prabhupada said the most dangerous type of fear. But really what he meant there, because it says in the word by words, you know, he says, bayat, danger. Bayat can mean danger as well as fear. Yeah. Because this is a wonderful thing in Sanskrit. The same word can mean something and also the cause of that thing. Just like gati. Gati means the goal, right? But it also means the means to the goal, right? We sing every morning that you know, attraction or love for the spiritual master is the means to achieve the goal. The word is gati there. So baya, so it means so I'm an editor. So I change the books. Instead of the most fearful type of danger, you know, instead of the most instead of the most dangerous type of fear, we get the most fearful type of danger. That danger which brings fear to your heart, isn't it? And that's what Prabhupada meant, and that's the way he always explained the verse. When you quote it, you know, what is that greatest danger? Who knows? Raise your hand. What's the greatest danger that we face as human beings? Yes, Radha Krishna. He knows. His name is Radha Krishna. To lose a human form of life, you know, that we finally got after Sudurlabham, Labdvasudurlabham, Bahusam Bhavante, many, many births. Manusham, human birth, the very same word. Artadam. It can give the final goal. We can complete the course and get out of here and go back to God and resume our actual eternal relation with Krishna, with a wonderful, loving rasa, you know, eternally. That's the goal. So you're protected from that because Even if you don't do anything, you come to the temple once and say, oh, those guys are crazy, I'll never go back there again. But you heard the holy name, took some prasadam, saw the deities, got some. Then that'll give you another human form of life. Again, you'll come to the temple, but this time maybe you'll have a better experience, and who knows, you'll become a devotee. The point is that you'll have the human form of life. You got a chance with the Hare Krishna movement going around. So just to finish up, maybe leave a little time for questions. So we'll just go through this wonderful verse and all the aspects. So the first, very fundamental, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. He's talking about Harinam Sankirtan. Polishes the dirty mirror of the heart so that you can understand yourself. You can understand who you are. I'm a spirit soul. I'm not this body. And just by understanding that, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, you're virtually extinguishing the blazing fire of birth and death, old age, and that's liberation. That's the first step. Then he says, Sheya Kaidava Chandakavadanam, that this Harinam Sankirtan, which is a public thing, it spreads the good fortune. It's like a blossoming flower of good fortune. The moonshine that causes it to blossom, because of the rays of the benediction moon. This is the way he translated it, Wonderful phrase. So it causes like this Sheya Kaidava. Kaidava is a light blooming lotus, I think, of good fortune. It blossoms for everybody by the spread of the Sankirtan movement. Sheya Kaidava Chandrika Vitadanam Vidyabadhu Jivanam. And it's the life and soul of vidya, of real knowledge. Who am I? Who is God? What is the relationship? What's the goal of life? How do I get there? All this knowledge that's embodied in the genuine scriptures, such as Bhagavad Gita, as it is. So what happens is Anandam Buddhivardhanam. I always think we're right here by the ocean, So it causes the ocean of bliss to expand more and more. The more and more people take it up. Like I got online, and there's so many wonderful, huge, especially this time of year, pilgrimages, of course, to Vrindavan and to Mayapur, and so many thousands of devotees. I used to go. I haven't gone in quite a few years, but just to see the crowds in Mayapur, and going through that TOVP or going on Navadvip Dham Parakram, devotees chanting so blissfully. So this is the ocean of, and it's going on all over the world. We have our Dvijamani here from Russia. Is it okay if I tell him? Okay. And he himself is expanding it. He's very determined book distributor. And in Russia also, there's so many kirtans going on everywhere over the world. So that's Anandam Buddhivardhanam. The ocean of ecstatic bliss is expanding. Pratibadam Purnamitasvadanam. And individually, at every step, we can taste this bliss. It feels to taste the transcendental bliss of Krishna consciousness. So there's Sarvatma Snapadam. Let every soul bathe in this wonderful sound vibration of the Harinam Sankirtan. Sarvatma Snapadam Padam Vijayate Shri Krishna San. All glories to the chanting of the holy name. So that's the essential practice that Lord Chaitanya gave, and as Prabhupada points out, is not different from Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita to always think of him. Lord Chaitanya says one should chant his holy name always as possible, and that's the easiest way. Krishna is present in his name. This is completely inconceivable, how God can be present in the sound vibration of his name. But that's the essential truth upon which this whole movement and whole practice is based. If you simply chant and hear, you may not know anything else, but you just say, all right, let me try it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And all of us can attest, more or less, that we've experienced this power of this chanting. So let's keep doing it and getting others to do it. When you spread the chanting, then Krishna is very pleased, and you get more, he gives you more taste for the holy name. That's a fact. And I remember when I first joined back in '73 in Brooklyn, it was kind of a rule, especially for the newcomers, that you go out 3 hours a day and you chant. And we're right there, in Brooklyn, in the short subway ride to Manhattan. And there was this, believe it or not, there was a church I don't know if they got permission or not, but we were one of the places we chanted all the time was on the steps of that church. I have some pictures of that. And you see the blissful devotees chanting. And Saturday night, Maha Harinam. Have 100 devotees go out to Times Square. We had one devotee come at the end of the night, with a couple of big buckets of halva. You could have a little prasadam on the way back, Very blissful. 3 hours a day. I'm telling you, it'll keep you in life. And then, every night, the evening kirtan, go gather. This was part of the rules. The morning is very much more meditative. Mangalarti, those who've been there, the lights are down, you're meditating on the Guru and samsara. It's wonderful. But the evening is Kiba Jaya Jaya Gora Chandaya. I don't know how many of you remember that. This is a meditation of Lord Chaitanya being worshipped. Something called the Mahaprakash. But mostly, he would, if they called him Vishnu, he would close his ears, because he's in the role of a human being. He didn't want to get into it. But here, he revealed that, yes, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This was in Mayapur. And so they had formal worship and Abhishek and everything. So this is meditating on him being worshipped as, the Supreme Lord on the bank of the... So he's singing this song. And then, of course, Hare Krishna Mantra, the lights are up and devotees are dancing, I'll just tell you one little quick thing and then we'll end. I remember when I first started reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you read not only about Lord Chaitanya, but also his associates and everything. And one of them was Bhakreshwar Pandit. And he had the specific quality they mentioned about him is that he could dance for 72 hours straight in the Harinam. And I was saying, I want to be able to do that, I want to, but I needed proper shoes. I'm going out with these flip-flops, and everything. So this is early 70s, and kind of the 60s bled into the 70s. Everyone knows the 60s, the hippies, Well, there are plenty of hippies in the early 70s. So they would come to the temple, a lot of them on Sunday night, the feast and everything. It was packed. And some would come with shoes and leave without shoes. So we ended up getting in the shoe room where people would leave their shoes and get a number and get their shoes back, The shoes accumulated. So I said, maybe I'll find some nice sneakers there, or I can, dancing shoes. So I went there, and sure enough, there were these beautiful sneakers that were just right for dancing, just my size. Oh, thank you, Krishna, So I started dancing as much as possible out there, I used to be pretty athletic. But I didn't make it to 72 hours, But that's the way it was in those days. And I still think that, we started to have problems when we didn't put as much emphasis on Harinam. Of course, we had book distribution, but those were the elite, And so the evening program became less, and anyways, the whole thing. But still, that is available, and we can embrace it as much as ourselves. And especially this time of year with Lord Chaitanya's appearance coming tomorrow, the emphasis on chanting and hearing and meditating on Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. There's so many beautiful passages I don't have time to read. But if you had a CC at home, go to the Adi Leela at the beginning. I think it's the second verse, and it describes how Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are like a river. And the devotees are like chakravaka birds, tasting the flowers floating in the river and everything. It's very beautiful. And that's really the way it is. You read about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and you realize that can be recreated right now. We're still, spirit souls, and if we embrace the teachings and we try to follow strictly, then Krishna will bless us with more and more ability to really taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness. So that's my little talk tonight. And if there are any comments, we have a few minutes. We have a few minutes, and we have a few microphones. We have one more than we used to have.
Real quick, something for me.
Okay.
We have someone sponsored Chaitanya Charitamrita tonight. So we can give away one free Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you like to get one, if you desire to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, please find me. I'll be in the lobby.
So they sponsored one to be given away.
One, yes.
So the person who gets there first, or the person who wants it the most. Yeah.
So if anyone...
Everyone's got one here. I mean...
You'd like one? Okay. Okay, so how about this? There are two people. Maybe we'll give it for 50% discount to both of you. How about that?
That sounds like a great deal.
Yeah? Please. It's only $75. The whole set, 9 volumes. $75. Please, please get it.
That's a real bargain.
Special offer today.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I do for my evening classes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which you can also catch online if you're interested. Bhagavad Gita starting 7:15 to 8:15. But I always end with a little poem. So why don't I end with this poem? Many of you probably haven't heard it. This is a beautiful verse about the holy name written by Raghunath Das Goswami. Radheti nama navasundara siddha mugdham Krishneti nama marodapatagara dugdham Savakshanam surabhiraga himena ramyam Kritvat daiva pibame rasanetra darte. An excellent fresh nectar drink. Now, one thing, just let me preface this. The Hare Krishna mantra, what is that? What do those names mean? Hare is a name addressing Radharani. Hara, right? It's the vocative of the word Hara, which means the goddess of fortune. She's the source of all goddesses of fortune. So she's Radha. And Krishna is, of course, Krishna. And Rama can also mean Krishna, mean the supreme enjoyer. Krishna means the source of all spiritual enjoyment and all attractive, of course. So he's talking about Hare Krishna mantra. An excellent fresh nectar drink with endless subtle tastes, such as the name of Radha, by whom all 3 worlds are graced. Condensed milk that is wonderfully delicious, thick and sweet, such is the name of Krishna, in whom all attractions meet. Now mix these drinks, O thirsty tongue, and add the cooling, fragrant spice of love, a prize the wise will try to buy at any price. And then at every moment drink this beverage most fine, and make my heart supremely blissful, peaceful, and divine. And now, since I don't have anyone on my shoulder here, ask me to stop. This is the poem that I wrote that Bhadinarayan Swami liked the most. Okay, I think it's appropriate. It's based on a verse quoted by Haridas Thakur about the holy name in a conversation he had with Raghunath Das Goswami and others. So here's the verse. It's a far-out verse. Now you'll understand why I like the Sanskrit so much. Anghak sanghadadakidang sakadadihade vasakadadokasya. Now I know that even if you know Sanskrit, you're not going to understand what I just said. So here is my little poem based on the translation of this verse and Haridas Thakur's explanation of it. Okay. So, when the moon is invisible, withered to nil. Now you have to go back 500 years, no electricity. When the moon is invisible, withered to nil, and the sun is long gone from the sky, then an ocean of darkness envelops this world. No, I have to explain. Does anyone not know what the word timorous means? Okay. You? Timorous means easily frightened, right? Easily frightened. When the moon is invisible, withered to nil, and the sun is long gone from the sky, then an ocean of darkness envelops this world, and the timorous fear they might die. But that thick pall of gloom is the one swept away when the first signs of sunrise appear, and the dawning of day gives assurance to all that in truth there is nothing to fear. In a similar way, when illusion holds sway, and the soul has forgotten his Lord, then the darkness of ignorance covers his heart. Sin and suffering are his reward. But as soon as he says Krishna's name even once, in a manner that doesn't offend, then his ignorance flees like the darkness at dawn, and his sin and his suffering end. So there's nothing to fear, for the sun of the name has appeared with his powers divine. In your heart may that sun, benedictive for all, become fixed and eternally shine. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So usually we'd have announcements today, so I guess I'll just have to give the main announcement. Tomorrow is Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. You're all invited to come and celebrate with us. You can come to Mangalartik if you like, but at least come at 5:30, and we'll have another festival just like this, all in glorification of Lord Chaitanya. Now I feel kind of embarrassed to say that they asked me to speak tomorrow night also, so I'll have to figure out something new to say. But there's so much to say about Lord Chaitanya, and there's no loss. So we get ready for another kirtan until 7:15, and then we'll have the feast. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants my poems, all of them, write to me at Dravida108 Gmail. and I'll send you my nice PDF, and I'll give you a link for the recitation of the poem. Hare Krishna.